Okay, so now we're going to do some more algebra questions, and we're going to pull together pretty much everything we've covered up until this point to do this one algebra question. So it's quite a tricky one, it's quite a long and involved one, so make sure you're all paying attention. So what we've got, two fractions, we've got 5x divided by x minus 3 plus 2x divided by x plus 4. Okay, and that equals 14. And what we need to do, we need to find x. Okay, as pretty much always, we need to find x. Now, that looks like an absolute pig, but it's not. You know how to do this. What we've got to start off with is our fractions. Now, how do we add two fractions? We've got to get a common denominator. We've got to get the same thing on the bottom of both sides, and then we can just add them together, or add the top together. So in this case, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Basically, we need to times this by this in order to get the same on the bottom. So we need to times this fraction by the whole thing by x plus 4. And we need to times this whole fraction by x minus 3. Hope you can see that. So we're going to do that to the bottom as well. We're going to times these two together. Okay? So, what we get on the bottom, let's have a look at that first. So, we've got x minus 3, x plus 4. So that's what we're going to have on the bottom. So let's do that. Now let's remember how we do it. We do x times x, which gives us x squared. Then we do our x times 4, which gives us, in this case, plus 4x. Okay? Now we do 3, so minus 3 times x. Remember, that is a minus 3. So that's minus 3x. And then we do minus 3 times 4, which gives us minus 12. Okay? Minus 12. So we can simplify that. We end up with x squared plus 4x minus 3x, which gives us x. So plus x minus 12. So that's going to be on the bottom of each fraction. That's what we're going to get on the bottom. Right now we need to do the top. So let's do that. This one first. 5x times x plus 4. So 5x times x. So let's write that here. 5x times x plus 4. So let's remember what we do when we're multiplying this out. We need to just make sure our 5 times is by everything. So first, 5x times x gives us 5x squared, and our 5x times 4 is going to give us 20x plus 20x. So plus 20x. Okay. Now we're going to do this one. We're going to do 2x times by x minus 3. Notice I didn't bother writing the times on this time, you don't actually need to. So okay, we're going to do 2 times the x. It's going to give us 2x squared. And now we're going to do 2x times 1 minus 3 this time. So it's going to give us minus 6x. So that's what we're going to have on the top. So let's write that whole thing in now. We're going to have 5x squared plus 20x plus 2x squared minus 6x. Okay, that's going to be on the top. So let's simplify that. We get 5x squared plus 22 x. No, I'm going mad. It's not 22x, is it? We've got to be careful with these things. It's 20x minus 6x, so it's actually 14x. 20x minus 6x. See, it's very easy to make simple mistakes. You've got to make sure you're really concentrating and also check back through at the end. A silly mistake like that could cost you a mark in the exam. You'd probably still get your marks for the working, but you'd miss the marks in the exam, so keep vigilant to them. So I've not simplified enough. I've not added the 2x squared onto the 5x, so it's actually 7x squared plus 14x. That's what that actually simplifies down to. So that's the top of our fraction. Okay, and that, I believe, was the bottom of our fraction. Okay, so we need to write that out. Again, I'm going to have to move over to this side of the board, so you might not be able to see me very well for the rest of this, but most of you are probably quite happy about that. Right, so let's write our fraction out. 7x squared plus 14x, all divided by x squared plus 4x. No, I'm looking at this, aren't I? Plus x minus 12. Okay, and that's all got to equal 14. So that we've now got from this to this. Okay, so we've worked through it all. We've not made any silly mistakes, and we've got from here to here. Now, yes, you might be thinking I should have written. Should write it as two separate things, but you can actually, because it's the same on the bottom of each one, the bottom's just going to stay the same when we add them, we can just write it like this. The same way if I was doing, just a quick example, like note down here, same way if I was doing 5 over 6 plus 3 over 5, I could just simplify that and I could say 5 times 5 is 25, so I could just say 25 plus 6 times 3 is 18 divided by 30. It's the same thing, so I just add the top numbers together. I know the bottom numbers are going to stay the same, so I can just write it like that. But that's just a quick note, just because we might not have seen that before. So now got this, right, remember, this bottom thing we can assume is in brackets. So we need to get rid of this on the bottom. So we need to times both sides by x squared plus x minus 12. Okay? We need to do that to both sides, so I need to do that to this side as well. Okay? We need to do it to both sides. So let's do that. Well, we know if we do it to this side, it just going to cancel. So I'm going to end up with 7x squared plus 14x. Okay? And what am I going to get on the right hand side? Well, I'm going to get 14 brackets x squared plus x minus 12. I'll type. Okay, so let's multiply that out. So we don't need to write this out again, but I will do just for neatness. So that equals, let's make sure we know what we're doing, 14 times the x squared. So 14x squared plus 14x. Okay? Now 14 times minus 12. Well, 14 times 12, 12 times 12 is 144. So 144 plus 24 is it's going to give us 168, isn't it? Minus 168. Minus 12, remember. Okay, so now we've got this, we can start getting everything on the same side. So let's make sure the x squareds are on the same side. We'll leave the number on this side and we'll get all the x's on this side. So I need to take away 14 x squared. I'm going to take it away from that side. And I'm going to take 14 x squared away from this side. So that will just cancel out. So I end up with 7x squared minus 14x squared. What's that going to give us? It's going to give us minus 7x squared plus 14x equals 14x minus 168. Okay. Now I want to get rid of the 14x. So I'm going to take 14x away from both sides. We can actually see that that cancels out on both sides. So I'm actually just going to go bing, 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 bing. Gone. So now I've got minus 7x squared equals minus 168. Now, there's minuses on both sides, so they will also cancel out. So we can get rid of those. Okay? So now I've got 7x squared equals 168. So, x squared will equal 168 divided by 7. We can see that. I need to just divide each side by 7. They'll cancel. So we get x squared is 168 over 7, which I believe is 24. 168 divided by 7. Yeah. So that means x squared equals 24. Now we just need to get rid of the squared, take the square root of both sides. Okay, and then that square root will cancel that. So I end up with x equals square root of 24 is 4.9. You could leave it root 24. It might ask you to leave it as a root, but x equals 4.9. It might also ask you to leave it as a surd, in which case you need to use your surd practice to get this down. Okay, so that's that question. We'll do one more question on this. We'll go through it all again with a different question, make sure we really know what's going on. We'll do one more of those style of questions. So let's get up on the board. We're given that 8x divided by 2x plus 5 minus 2x over x minus 5 equals 10. So we're going to solve this in the same way we solved the last question. We're going to cross multipliers, it's sometimes called. We're going to times this whole side by x minus 5, and this whole fraction times that by 2x plus 5. Okay, so let's do the bottom of the fraction first. Let's work out what we're going to have as our denominator. So let's write it in. We can do the bottom. Okay, so we're going to get 2x plus 5 brackets x minus 5. But you're glad you practiced these now. So we've got 2x times x. It's going to give us 2x squared. Okay, we've got 2x times minus 5. It's going to give us minus 10x. Okay, then we've got plus 5 times x, going to give us plus 5x. And we've got plus 5 times minus 5, which is going to give us minus 25. Okay. So we need to simplify it. Simplify it, we just need to do this. So minus 10 plus 5 is minus 5. So we get the final for the bottom is 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. So that's the bottom. Okay, now we need to do the top, so let's do this half first. Okay, so we've got 8x brackets x minus 5, okay, minus 2x, we'll do it all in one go this time, brackets 2x plus 5. Okay, so let's do this one. 8x times x gives us 8x squared. 8x times minus 5x, 8 times minus 5, minus 40x. Okay, now the next bit, minus 2. Remember this is a minus 2 times 2x, going to give us minus 4x squared, and minus 2 times 5 is going to give us minus 10x. So let's simplify that. 8x squared, it's not the same as it did last time either. 8x squared minus 4x is going to give us 4x squared. 8x squared minus 4x squared, so that's those done. And then minus 40x minus 10x. So it's going to give us minus 50x, isn't it? It was minus 50x. Okay, so that's the top. So let's move over to this side of the board. So we've got our bottom, we've got our top is 4x squared minus 50x, and we've got that our bottom is 2x squared minus 5x minus 25, and that equals 10. Okay, so again we can times both sides by the bottom, so we can times both sides by 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. We need to do the same here. 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. I've had to write this slightly funny way, so I'm running out of room. And we know that if we do it on this side, we're going to cancel those out, so we get rid of those. So we end up with 4x squared minus 50x equals 10 times by 2x squared minus 5x minus 25. Okay, so like I said, you can leave that and bring it back in a minute. We're going to do this now. So 10 times 2x squared. 10 times 2x squared, 20. X squared. Okay. 10 times minus 5x can give us minus 50x. And 10 times 25 is going to give us minus 250. Okay. So, let's have a look at what we got. We've got 4x squared minus 50x equals 20x squared minus 50x minus 250. Okay, so let's do what we did last time. This time let's get rid of the 50s, because we can see we've got two minus 50x's. So we know that if we've got the same on either side, they're going to cancel, because what we need to do is add 50x on to each side. Okay, so they're just going to cancel with each other. So we're going to end up with 4x squared equals 20x minus 250. Okay, so sorry, that's a squared. So now we're going to want to take 20x squared off each side, so take away 20x squared from the left and take away 20x squared from the right. It's going to cancel those out. And we're going to end up with 4x squared minus 20x, sorry, 4x squared minus 20, so let's do that in one go, let's not bother writing it out. 4 minus 20 is going to be minus 16x squared equals minus 250. Again, the minuses, we've got a minus on either side, they will cancel. We divide both sides by minus 1 effectively. So they will cancel off. So we actually get 16x squared equals 250. So x squared will equal 250 divided by 16. Again, we divide both sides by 16, and then this side, those ones cancel, so we get x squared equals 250 divided by 16. And so luckily this is a calculator paper, so we can do it. 250 divided by 16 gives us 15.6. So x squared equals 15.6. Take the square root of both sides to get rid of the squared. And that will get rid of the squared. We end up with x is equal to square root answer 3.95. Okay, so there is a long question. There's plenty of points where you can make silly mistakes, as I did when I was working through it. I've not edited that out, so I want you to see that it is very easy to make simple mistakes. What you need to do is make sure you write your working down every step. Now, you don't have to put these lines in if you don't want to. You can miss small steps, but do make sure you write what you're working down. If I ended up with an answer here of 7, I would have got no marks for the answer in the exam. But this sort of question is going to be worth at least 4 marks. If I got that answer wrong, but all my working was okay, I just made a mistake here with my minus, I probably would have still got at least half the marks. Also, this means when you've got that time at the end of the exam, you can go back through your working. You can see, make sure you can see every step you did. You can see where a mistake might have been. So it really is important that you work through in a logical, progressive fashion, and you write that logical, progressive fashion down while you're doing it. So that's algebra. That's a nice, big, fat, tricky algebra question, and there's a few more of them for you to do by yourselves in your book.